In this video, we're going to be taking a look on pages Access 88 and 89, in which we're going to add subtotals and counts. After watching this video, you should be able to create calculations to subtotal and count records, and to cut and paste controls. In a report, you create a calculation by entering an expression into a text box. When a report is previewed or printed, the expression is evaluated and the resulting calculation is placed on the report. An expression is a combination of field names, operators such as the addition sign, subtraction sign, division sign, or multiplication sign, and functions that result in a single value. A function is a built-in formula, such as sum or count, that helps you quickly create a calculation. Notice that every expression starts with an equal sign, and when it uses a function, the arguments for the function are placed in parentheses. Arguments are the pieces of information that the function needs to create the final answer. When an argument is a field name, the field name must be surrounded by square brackets. Now in step 1 on page Access 88, it tells us that we want to switch to the report design view. So you can do that in any way. You can first of all close the print preview if you want to, or you can just right click on the Tours by State tab and go to the report design view. Once we're in the design view, we now need to take a look on here, and this is a logical place where we want to add subtotals for each group is right after that group of record prints. So the best place we're going to be looking at is the group footer section, and you use the group, sort, and total pane to open group footer sections. So in step 2, it tells us that we want to click the More button for the state abbreviation field in the group, sort, and total pane. So here we have the state abbreviation with A on top, and then we have the More button. Right here's the More button. We want to click on that, and of course we have some different options. Then it tells us that we want to click the Without a Footer section list arrow. And of course here's the list arrow here, and of course we see that we have the options of with a footer section and without a footer section. And in this case we want to click with a footer section. So now we're adding in a state abbreviation footer, which was not there previously. And then of course we want to do the same thing for the category field. So we go through here and click on the group on category, click on the More button, then go to the Without a Footer section, click on the down pointing arrow, and then click on With a Footer section. Now with the state abbreviation footer and category footer sections open, you're ready to add controls to calculate the total number of tour days within each category and within each state. You use a text box control with an expression to make this calculation. Now of course if you run into some trouble, you can always click the category in the group, sort, and total pane to display the grouping options. In step 3, it tells us that we now want to click the text box button in the controls group. So we're now up here, and your tab should be the design tab and the report design tools, and we want to click here on the text box button, and that's in the controls group. And then it tells us to then click just below the duration text box in the category footer section. So here's the category footer section, and right here is where it says duration. So we want to click just below that. And of course adding a new text box automatically adds a new label to its left. Now first you want to modify the label to identify the information, then you modify the text box to contain the correct expression to sum the number of tour days for that category. And to do that, first of all, we move on to step 4, and it tells us that we want to click on the text 19 label to select it. Then we want to double click so that we select the text 19 text, and then we want to type in total days, colon. Once we have that complete, Then we want to click the Unbound text box to select it. And then we want to click on Unbound again. And that's going to clear it out so that we can type in our expression here. And our expression, of course, always starts out with an equal sign. And then we're going to use a function on here, and this is going to be the sum function. So you can put it in all caps, but I'm going to just use the first capital letter, S. So I'm going to put in sum, and then in parentheses, and then in square brackets. Because remember, whenever you use a function, the function has to be in parentheses. That's on there. But my arguments, which is going to be my field name, has to be in square brackets. So this is going to be sum of duration. So I'm going to put duration, close my square bracket, and then close my parenthesis. Then I'm going to press my enter key. Then of course I'm going to widen my text box so that we can view the entire expression. So you see that the expression on there should be equals sum, open parenthesis, open square bracket, duration, close square bracket, close parenthesis. Now this expression uses the sum function to add the days in the duration field. Now because the expression is entered in the category footer section, it will sum all duration values for that category within that state. To sum the duration values for each state, the expression needs to be inserted in the state abbreviation footer. Now of course, if you run into some trouble, depending on your activity in the report design view, you may see a different number in the text number label. So if it didn't say text 19, that's okay. If you had some other text number that's in there, that's fine. In step 5, it tells us now that we want to right click the equals sum duration text box. So we're going to right click this text box here, and then we want to copy it. Then next we're going to right click the state abbreviation footer section just below on there, and we're going to click on paste. Once we pasted that, we then want to press our right arrow key enough times to position the control in the state abbreviation footer just below those in the category footer section. So we can we can move this by using our right arrow key. So we want to position it just below this so that they're lined up just so. Now with the expression copied to the state abbreviation footer section, we're ready to preview our work. Of course, a quick tip, pasting the expression in the report footer section would subtotal the duration values for the entire report. Next, on step 6, it tells us that we want to switch to the print preview. So we can go here and go to print preview. And then we want to navigate to the last page of the report. So we want to go to our last page of the report here, which in our case, for me, is going to be on page 5 here. And then it tells us that we want to click to zoom so we can see all of the Washington tours. So may need to go back one that's on here, and there's the Washington tours that's on there. So it's kind of spread across a couple pages for me. And then we see on there, as shown in figure D12 on there, of course mine's kind of spread across a couple pages. That's okay, we may need to make some adjustments on there to make it very specific there for us. And it tells us that 21 tour days are totaled for the adventure category. So if I would go back one page on there, we see that there's the adventure category and there's 21 days. And then it tells us that in 3 days for the sightseeing on there as well, which is a total of 24 days for the state of Washington. Now the summary data would look better if it would align more directly under the tour duration values. Now you resize and align controls in the next lesson. So one little thing that, where you notice that I have 5 pages on here, and of course all my Washington information is not identical on there, I may need to resize up my category footer just a little bit that's on there. So I can click on this and try to resize this just a touch on there, just so that my information is not being spread across a couple different pages. So I can click on that and try to drag it up a little bit, just trying to resize this. So I can drag this up toward the top, and that's one way that I can get a little bit of additional space. So you could attempt that, go back to the report view, and you can take a look, or the print preview, and see if it actually goes through there and completes that on there. But just play around with that. As long as the numbers are adding up, that is perfectly fine, because if you go into the last page on there, of course now we can see that we have a little bit more information that's on there. A little bit more tweaking is necessary to get all that Washington information is on there, but I'll do that in between now and the next video. But that concludes all the information that is on pages Axis 88 and 89. You're ready to move on to the next video, in which we're going to resize and align controls.